Guys, good morning. Um, Welcome to my Facebook Live video. You know, I love doing these videos so much more so than just recording a video and uploading it to YouTube because I love the live interaction that I get with my friends as they join the Erica show. So thank you for being here. And I wanted to make a video this morning about choices. You know, I titled this video on Facebook, How I Can Afford to Go Traveling. And, you know, as I do all these, like, epic adventures that I go on, I have a lot of people who are always like, oh, you're so lucky. Like, I wish I could do what you're doing. And here's the thing. You can if you set your mind to it. Now, when it comes to going on a big adventure, like the one I'm about to go on to Thailand for the winter, I really wrestled at the beginning with the question of whether I could do it. Good morning, Mary. I adore you. Good morning, Reno. Good morning, Elle. Good morning, Brandon. Hi, Gulab. I'm doing well, my friend. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I'm getting ready to leave for my next big traveling adventure in 5 days. I'm going to Thailand, and I'm going to be spending 3 months in Southeast Asia, just wandering around. Actually, Hey, Christine! I think you're beautiful, too. Thanks for joining. So, just a little bit of context and background. Initially, I was planning on staying still this winter. I didn't want to go anyplace because I had left the country for the past 2 winters. I went to India. And so I was ready to sit still until I got an offer I could not refuse. Some very dear friends of mine, who I actually knew when I used to live in Singapore, they bought a piece of land and built a house on this island in Thailand. Andrea, how about traveling with 3 kids? One day I'll be able to. You know, that was the reason why I wanted to go traveling initially, was when my sister told me she was pregnant. This was a conversation about three years ago. She told me she was pregnant, and that really turned my world upside down and really made me question, oh my God, if my sister, who's 2 years older than me, is pregnant, that means my clock is ticking. I gotta go do everything now, right? And the irony is that the impetus for me to go traveling to India the first time was my sister telling me she was pregnant. And so I had this idea that, oh, well, I have to go because I can't travel once I'm pregnant or once I have a child. And then when I was in India, I met all of these women traveling with babies, with little babies. And I was like, what? This just does not fit in with my mind. I can't understand, right? So I made a video. There's a vlog on YouTube. It's called The Traveling Mother. I sent that to my sister, and she was so moved by that video. I did not expect this to happen, that she decided to bring her baby to join me to round off my travels in India. So I actually finished the last 2 weeks of my first trip in India with my sister and her 9-month-old baby. So, if you're under the impression that you can't travel with children, nay. Here's the thing. You can't do the way that normal Americans conceive of traveling, which is very expensive, very yeah, Andrea, go check out the blog. It's called, look on YouTube, search for The Traveling Mother. Search for Erica Derrickson, The Traveling Mother, and you'll see it, and it's crazy. We're like in a little rickshaw. Anyways, so actually, going back several years ago, I actually conceived of an idea that I wanted to do for a travel TV show, where I would essentially show other Americans that the only way to travel is not these prepackaged itineraries that are very controlled and contained and safe, right? You know, I wanted to become a role model for others to show them that, you know, travel is possible in a completely different way than we've been taught. You know, here in America, we don't have any backpacking role models. What does it mean? Where's backpack? Where's my backpack? Here, I'll show you. Here's my backpack. So I'm essentially about to load everything that my whole life into a bag on my back. No rolling suitcases, none of that bullshit. You know, you take only what you can carry. So the way that I travel is very, very minimalist, very, very simple. There are no luxuries, you know. There's very little planning. In fact, actually, my plan is pretty much to show up in Bangkok and then figure it out from there. I may stay a couple days to like rest and recuperate because I'm looking at like a 30-hour journey. But then I'm gonna head down to this island. I don't know how I'm gonna get to the island yet. I'm just gonna Yeah, Christine, good thing I'm small. Yeah, I'm very small. I fit in very, very small spaces. If you've never met me in person, generally the first feedback I get from people is, wow, I thought you'd be bigger. I know I'm very big online, right? Oh, look how big I am. But in person, I'm very, very small. So, how can I afford to go traveling? I think it really, my message, it comes down to choices, right? So first thing is, the first step to going on a big adventure is first you make a decision. So for me, it was early in the summer when I got the invitation from my friends and was like wrestling with, can I do this? Can I afford this? Can I do this? Right? And I really made peace with it over the 4th of July weekend. And then I set a date, and then you set a goal, and then I started working with a financial planner earlier this year with a really cool company called LearnVest. And I remember sending an email like, hey, Isaiah, you remember how I said that I wasn't going to take any vacations this year so I can hit my other financial goals of like the emergency fund and blah, blah, blah. Well, about that. So now I'm going to Thailand, blah, blah, blah. So it was essentially like, all right, I want to do this. What do I have to do to make it happen? So then I set some financial goals for myself. I opened up a new savings account online with a company called Ally Bank. And I started contributing. And also another thing is I started giving myself a budget. Since I made the decision, I've been living on a budget of essentially like $80 a week for food, transportation, everything. So in order to afford to go traveling and have an adventure, it's about making choices and then making sacrifices. You know, if you choose to go out drinking every weekend, if you choose to buy clothes every season, if you choose, every choice you make, you're choosing one thing over the other. So if you want to do something crazy like me, like going to Thailand for 3 months, you'd have to make a decision and then start making different choices. Let me see, is my Wi-Fi on? Hold please, yeah, it's on, good. Kevin, I travel with too much gear. Lightest I can get down is 3 bags. Yeah, no room for clothing. I feel you there, brother. That was one thing that really frustrated me when I was in India. I brought this like big bag, a big camera bag with all these lenses. So again, one of the best things you can do, here's the thing with traveling. It's not as important as what you bring with you, but what you choose to leave behind. So I plan on bringing like pretty much nothing with me. When I'm over there, I'm gonna get a whole new set of clothes. I'm gonna get a whole new everything, and I'm just gonna live minimally because really, when it comes down to it, we really don't need that much. And I am a person who values. Well, here's how I'll say it. You can always work hard and make more money, but you cannot work hard and make more time and experience. So for me, I'm a person who values experiences more than material possessions. So, and that's also why I live in a tiny, look at this, I live in a laundry. So how do you afford to go traveling? You make sacrifices and you check your choices, and maybe you don't need all of these different expenses and these things that you think you need in life. Maybe you can minimize, maybe you can simplify. Traveling is about a good attitude and being flexible, says Andrea. Exactly. And that's also why you learn so much when you go traveling. In fact, I would say that my greatest education that I've ever had as a human being has been when I've been on the road with a bag on my back and just relying on my instincts and intuition and just going with the flow and taking the challenges as they come, because there are a lot of challenges on the road. But with challenges come growth, and this is very good. Choosing your character, yeah, man. Oh man, I definitely, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, man. No, all my experiences in the world definitely added so much value to my character and my personality, and gave me a lot greater insight into who I am and what I really want in life. What really makes me happy. JP Valenti, you're the blonde Carmen Sandiego, maybe, but not for long. As of Friday, my look is changing completely. And it's in line with this whole message of what I'm doing here. Mary, the greater challenge, the greater the reward. Exactly, man. Here's the thing. And this is something I always tell to my actors when I'm coaching actors. It's like, when you're sitting in the audition room and you're waiting to go in and you're feeling that, like, those oh shit butterflies in your belly, and it's like really scary, right? That's a really challenging moment. I always encourage people to be grateful for those butterflies, because that tells you that you're in the game and you're doing it. People who don't do anything big don't have to deal with those that, oh shit, I'm being challenged right now feelings, but it's in those moments that you grow the most. So, so how do you afford to go traveling? First of all, you set a date. The first time I wanted to go to India, I decided, all right, on my 29th birthday, I'm going to go to India. I think at the time it was like 8 or 9 months out. And then I made a lot of sacrifices. You know, I thought about that decision every day when I was going to the store, when I was, you know, going out into my daily life, when I was presented with a choice to make. Do I want to buy this? Do I want this? You know, I had to remind myself, like, all right, is this going to take away from me getting to my goal of going traveling? So it's about making a decision to go do it. It's about setting a date. It's about setting some goals, getting clear with yourself, like, all right, what do I need to make this possible? And then making sacrifices. So anyone who says that, oh, you're so lucky you can do this, listen, I had to give up. Going back 3 years ago, 2 years ago, I don't know, when my whole thing with India started, I ended up having to give up my apartment. It cost me my relationship at the time. It cost me a lot. So it was not easy. It was one of the hardest things I ever did do, but it was totally worth it, and I love my life even more than I did before now, because I came back with greater gifts than I would have ever received if I had stayed in one place. So I'm a big advocate for travel, if you haven't noticed, because I believe that it expands people's minds, it expands their perspectives, and it gives them a greater sense of like who they are and what they actually want. And I think that this is especially valuable for young people, because, you know, here in America we're taught to just fit into this system of like, all right, now you go to school and you get all A's and you blah blah blah, and like it's really just preparing people to be consumers, to get into debt and like fit into this system where they just have to work, and like, okay, now you get married, now you buy a house, and like, aren't you happy yet? You're doing all the right things, aren't you happy yet? I don't believe this formula is one that will make me happy, so I am someone who's seeking out my own formula. Deborah, I love you. I will see you in Thailand. I can't wait to squeeze you. Deborah is one of my best friends from Singapore, and I love her so much. Deborah, I'm so happy, and I'm so excited to see you, woman. I am going to squeeze the toothpaste out of you, and we're going to go on adventures. And here's the thing. Adventure and the realizations and the insight they provide are so much more valuable than a new car or fancy clothes. I do not have fancy clothes. I mean, I am actually in my pajamas right now. I very much believe that these kinds of experience add far more value to a person's life and their future than material. I even think that traveling is a better investment than college, because of the insight and the perspective it gives you, and I think you can get a better, well, it depends on the person, but I think you can get a better return. I mean, I don't know what return on my college investment I've gotten, not much. Well, I never really finished, but I didn't really get the sense that I needed to, because it didn't feel right to me. You know, here's the thing. They put you into this system of like what you're supposed to do, and you grow up learning like what you're supposed to do. But that's not, you'll feel it in your soul if you're not doing, you know, you could be following what everyone else is telling you to do, but if you're not doing what you're meant to do, you'll feel it in your heart and your soul, and there will be a disconnect, there will be a dissonance, and it'll hurt, and you'll feel it. So if you're feeling that existential pain inside, that's probably a good indication that you should stop doing what you're doing and start listening to what's in your heart. There's a gentle pull on our hearts, and I think if we're to discover what we're truly meant to do in this life, it's our job to listen to that and honor that pull, even if it's pulling us in a direction that's scary and unknown and not what we conceived of or wanted. I'm gonna go back into the comments. Some of us were born to break the mold. Hell yeah. Here's the thing. In breaking the mold, this is important because it shows others that breaking the mold is possible. Alright, Kevin, I saw DP recently roll with a DJI Osmo stabilizer. That was great. We had that in Iceland. It was awesome. And a cell phone, and that's it. I suppose I can eliminate my camera lenses, but I get FOMA. But I get FOMA, I have to be blah, 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 blah. In the moment, here's the thing. Don't overcomplicate things. And this is what traveling is great for, is it really teaches you to simplify. Really teaches you to simplify. You know, when you have to put everything in a bag on your back, you really have to make choices about what's truly important and what's not. And that exercise in itself is extremely enlightening. Hold please, I'm scrolling back. Please bring all your stories home with you to share with your return. I wish you a safe and wonderful journey. Yes, I am bringing stories home, and I am planning on writing a book one day. And you know what's cool is that this journey, where I'm going in Thailand, this is where I started all my travels 7 years ago. So I'm essentially going back to where I started, but as a fundamentally different person, which is the whole idea of a great story. I mean, you know, story, as Jock MacDonald of Stryon says, story is how the human heart changes. So my heart has definitely undergone a huge change. I mean, at the beginning of this journey, I was just concerned with material, and I thought that happiness came from outside. I could not meditate for the life of me. My mind was a mess. I was sad. I was lonely. I was confused about who I was and my place in the world, and how I, you know, bring value to others. And in the past, I guess it's been 8 years, because I started my travels on the day Obama was elected the first time in 2008, which was my birthday. It was my 23rd birthday. That's when I started all of my travels. I was living in Singapore at the time, and I got on a bus, and I went to Thailand, and I spent the next 2 months wandering around Thailand, and then ended up in India. Yeah, crazy journey, man. Akhil, when are you coming to India? India's not on my list right now, plus I don't think I would be actually welcome in India because of the stance I've taken on Kashmir. Apparently people really don't like the message of peace. Some people, it really rubs them the wrong way. So I don't feel particularly welcome in India at this moment. But that's not to say I won't be back in the future. You know, hopefully when things change and things settle, I would love to make a trip back to Kashmir and see my friends and experience the beauty of the Himalayas, especially in the summertime, and get back on Dal Lake and go ride a horse in Palgam. And there's so many things I want to do. Go to Kareem's and eat some wazwan. There's so much I want to do in Kashmir, and I hope I get to do that again. Ted, to travel is to take a journey into yourself. This is so true. This is a big external journey, but it reflects an inward journey that we go on when we do it, right? And that's, again, also why it's so valuable, because it's transformative. It transforms us from within. And that's why I really like to go do these things, because I never want to stop growing. I never want to stop growing. I'm a junkie for transformation. What else? So, making choices, making decisions, listening to the gentle tug on your heart, taking risks, stepping out into the unknown. I know a lot of people, you know, being ready to face change, because I know a lot of people are very uncomfortable with an idea of change, and you know, it's not. Here's the thing: you could save up the money to go traveling. If you can save up to buy a car, if you can save up for anything else in your life, you can save up to go traveling. And here's the thing: I think that a lot of people, they'll use the money as an excuse, or they'll use other things as an excuse to really just to cover up that they're afraid in other ways, maybe of stepping out, of being vulnerable, of not being in control. Because when you go traveling, you're no longer in control. And that, I think, is the most difficult part for people. I don't think people actually really fear, I think people fear being out of control more than they fear death, you know? For example, Dom and I went to Chicago to visit my dad these past few days. Just got back 2 days ago. And it was his first time taking a plane. He had taken a plane when he was younger to Florida, but he didn't remember it. So this is his first time taking a plane as an adult. And he was really scared, like white knuckles, like shaking. And as we were coming back, and he was scared. I mean, he was also in pain because of stuff that happened. But I remember just leaning over to him being like, and this guy is a very tough guy who's had a very, very interesting and colorful past with many near-death experiences. And I leaned over to him and I said, you know, you've never feared death before. And he's like, no. He's like, what you fear is not being in control. Like, you're completely out of control right now. Like, you have all of the anchors that you have in your life that allow you to, you know, have a concept of like who you are and what you have control over. Like, all those things are gone. So that's why you're uncomfortable right now. He could not deny that was true. But he did great. He did great. I'm really proud of him. So, hi Mark, hi Christine, hi Ian. Do you guys have any questions for me? So, and that's the other thing. So, I'm having the last chance to see me and to say goodbye and to see my new look is going to be on Saturday. This Saturday in Cambridge, I'm having a small going away get-together for some of my friends, and I would love to see you there. So it's going to be at Naco Taco on Mass Ave, and I'll post some things about it. There's info somewhere. But if you want to come, I'd love to see you. I'd love to get a hug for the road. Excuse me, I burped. And yeah. Oh, the other thing. Our film, Maybe Now, we're still in production, but we are in the last 10 days of a fundraising campaign that we're doing to help finish the film. If you like me, if you support me, if you support the things I do and want to see me do more of them, please consider making a donation to this film. Every dollar counts. And more than the money, it's a gesture of support, and if you could do that for me, I'd really, really appreciate it. The info is also below. Yeah, Yin, please come. Please come. I would love to see you and hug you and talk to you, okay? I love you. So that's that. Look at all those little hearts floating on the bottom. That's fun. I really appreciate you guys being with me.